question come through. How about that? And I've got actually another couple of questions for the next couple of days, but then after that I don't have any. So if you have a burning relationship question you would like to ask me, just go across to Elizabeth Roebuck-Jones /ask. So here is the question. I've entitled it, Where is he? Okay. I would appreciate your thoughts on this one. I am 36 and I'm divorced with no children. I was in a relationship when I was young, from 18. We dated for many years, then built a home, lived together, and were married in our late 20s. During those years, I was at university and focused on building my career and always planned to have children later. Unfortunately, though, just before my 30th birthday, I found out my husband was having an affair. I was angry at first, but told him I wanted to work through it. He agreed, he did too. However, I eventually realised the affair had continued, so I ended our marriage. We separated in 2010 and were divorced in 2012. Since then, I've spent time rebuilding my life, learning about myself and making new friends. I have a good life now and am ready to meet someone and settle down. But I've been single 6 years now and it's just not happening. I have dated online dating, I've tried online dating, speed dating, meeting guides out, salsa dancing or at bars, meeting through mutual friends, but nothing seems to work. I go out on a few dates with guys, things appear to be going well, and they just stop returning my messages and I never hear from them again. No explanation, no warning, just gone. I'm feeling frustrated, I bet you are, by this pattern and genuinely don't know what I'm doing wrong. I really want to meet a nice man and build a life with him. I'm financially independent, I have a good job, nice family and friends, I'm reasonably attractive and healthy. Where am I going wrong? Can you help me? Hi Maureen, how are you? So, I haven't got a lot to go on here, but I have got some things and I'm not sure if they're going to be helpful to you or not. If you feel, the person that's written me this question, if you feel that you want to give me more information, all you have to do is write to me again on the Ask Elizabeth, elizabethroebuckjones.com /ask Elizabeth question site, and just say, I wrote to you the other day with the question, where is he? And here's some more information for you to answer my question. And I'll come back and do some more. I've got a couple of questions that are going up on the blog. They're in 2 parts that I've done. And I don't mind doing that at all. So, you know, let's just see whether I'm on the money with what I'm talking to you about based on what you've told me. And if I'm not, send me some more information. So, there's 2 things that could be happening here. And the first one is you're not meeting the right kind of guy. And if you are in a place where, you know, you're repeating some patterns and being attracted to the same kind of guy, then maybe that's why they're not contacting you or deciding to end the relationship in the same kind of way. Hi, Jordan, how are you? So, if you're being attracted, you know, you don't have an awareness of who you're attracted to, and you're being attracted to the same kind of guy, then that would explain this repetitive pattern, yeah? The other thing is, of course, there's this old saying that you have to kiss a whole lot of frogs before you kiss the one that becomes your Prince Charming. And I would say to you that yes, you do, that's true. But I would add a little bit more to that and say that some of those frogs may be masquerading as toads, and the relationship hasn't worked out and that you've made a lucky escape. So actually, it's, you know, all's not lost. That's, you have, some of the relationships haven't worked out. So don't think that they're all bad, that it's all bad, because it's really hard. Like, there are nice guys out there, don't get me wrong, they are out there. But, hi Jordan Lee, and hi Reedy Ellis Miller, how are you? Lovely to see you. So, please don't think that, you know, that it's easy to find a nice guy. It's not. They are out there. I know they're out there because I've met them even in couples therapy where the relationship's gone wrong, but it's not toxic. But finding them's hard. It's not easy. So, you know, it's reasonable to expect that they're, you know, you're going to kiss quite a few frogs, toads, before you find the right one. So please keep that in mind. All right. So I think it's really good that you're thinking about yourself, because you're right. There could be something that you're doing that's causing the dynamic to shift in the relationship so that, you know, they kind of leave without a trace. And, you know, it's really hard to look in the mirror and see yourself. It's incredibly hard. You kind of have to retrace your steps, and it can be helpful to do this with a trusted friend, or even with a counselor that kind of knows and can look for patterns to help you. Oh, I saw blue sky for a minute. It's my phone doing weird things with the light. That's why the sky goes in and out. But it is beautiful blue sky here and lovely sunshine. All right, so you haven't talked to me a lot about what actually happens on a date. So I haven't got a lot to talk about, and I haven't got a lot to go with in terms of this pattern of him going. However, I can, based on what you've given me, give you some info, and I hope it's going to be helpful to you. So sometimes, I'm sure your life got turned absolutely upside down when your partner had an affair. Partners cheating is just, it's crappy. It is just awful. And it's so dishonest, because he will have felt, and I'll post my blog post, Why Men Have Affairs. I'll put the link to that in the comments for you to read. He will have been feeling not happy in the relationship for whatever reason. Not necessarily your fault, just for whatever reason, whether it's stress, I don't know, not having shared goals, feeling disillusioned with life, whatever. But for some reason, he's chosen he did not want to speak to you about it. And so he's gone off and had this affair. And so he's left the relationship long before you, and often when you find out, and especially if you discover it, it's the shock, it's the betrayal, it's the lies, and then you're dealing with all that turmoil of the end of the relationship when he's ready. He's got one foot out of the relationship. So it can feel terribly unfair. You can feel like you've lost your right of reply. You can feel like you've tried to work on the relationship and you can't because there's someone else in the wings. It is devastating. And so, I wonder about whether you've given a lot to the relationship and maybe thought you had your life on track, because you talk about having to rebuild your life and find new friends. And so our unconscious can kind of have difficulty catching up, particularly if it's been a shock that your partner's been having an affair. And so we can have this sense in our head that, in our unconscious, that we should be married. We should have a house. We should have children. We should be being a mother. All of those shoulds that then get backed up by, society and other people in our family, and even watching our friends kind of doing what we'd like to be doing. And so it's really important that if you're feeling like this, even if it's in your unconscious mind, and consciously you're really trying to manage it, that you're not bringing this into the dating space. Because if you're bringing it into the dating space and sort of giving unconscious signals about where you'd really like to be and what you'd really like to be doing, you can scare them off if they feel pressured. Because men don't feel, at 36 you're going to have Mother Nature absolutely screaming at you that you should be breeding. Absolutely, your hormones will be going off, where's the baby kind of thing. And this is a normal, natural feeling that will be on top of everything you've experienced of losing your relationship with your childhood sweetheart. So it's really important that you have a great awareness of that, because men don't have the same body clock. They can breed, right up until they're some ridiculous age. And so they don't feel this urgency. So if they're feeling an urgency from you to make the relationship work so you can settle down, then they're going to run a mile. So you just need to be careful and watchful that that's not coming through. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe that isn't coming through. But it's interesting from the way you've written your question. I'm wondering if that's something that's very front of mind for you, sitting in your unconscious, and you just need to be mindful of that. I want you to think about dating burnout. You've said to me, I've been single for 6 years. It's just not happening. I've tried online dating, speed dating, meeting guys out at salsa dancing, meeting through mutual friends, and nothing's working. And I'm just wondering if you've got dating burnout. Every time we go on a date, there's that emotional anticipation. Then you meet him. Maybe you have sex with him on the first night. Maybe you don't. You sit and have dinner, there's all that conversation, there's all that nervous energy, there's all the stress that goes along with meeting somebody with this, especially if you're meeting through dating sites, this intention to get together somehow. And so if you're doing this, regularly trying to find someone, you could be taking yourself into dating burnout. So if you've got this dating burnout happening, you've got this urgency happening, from your own experience and where you feel you should be in the world, and your unconscious mind kind of going, what the hell happened there, when your partner left, and trying to consolidate all of that. And I know it's been 6 years, but to me, you were with this guy from very young. He's been a huge part of your life. He's part of you. To have him leave you 6 years, really, in some ways, is a very short period of time to be getting over him. If you've got all that in play, it might be that you just have to kind of say to yourself, you know what, I'm just going to take a little bit of time out and have a break and refocus back in on me for a little bit, and kind of work through these feelings of where you would like to be and how life is turning out. And look, life, it sends us challenges, and I am quite sure there are people who tune in to my Facebook Lives who have children who wish they were back in the dating space, and people who are in the dating space who wish they were back in the child space, wish they were having children. And I think there's something about embracing where you are in the moment. I remember, a friend of mine, and this is years ago, and her life has panned out very differently than mine. She is single, she has a career, she works in a big corporate organisation, and she's never really ever been able to meet her Prince Charming. And of course she doesn't have children, and she did explore at one stage whether she would have her children on her own using a sperm donor. She's looked at all of that. And she said to me once, I really envy you what you have. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, you've got Wes and you've got kids and it's all, you're settled, and I would love to have that. And I looked at her and I was, not that I'd give my kids up, of course I wouldn't. None of us would. But I looked at her and I said, but don't you see, I want what you've got. She said, what? And I said, well, I don't sleep by myself, for a start. I share a bed, I share a bedroom, I share my entire house with my children. I don't have any time on my own. I'm working. It's very hard for me to give my entire focus to my work, and I would like to, because I have children and their lives and all that stuff that's going on. Hi, Dorothy, how are you? And all those things happening. And I'm exhausted. I just want time on my own. In fact, I'd like to be single. And she just looked at me. And I said, you know what? You have to make the most of wherever you're at. Don't crave what you haven't got. Crave what you've got now. Be in the moment. Be with what you've got now. And she just looked at me, and, that was fine. She obviously went away and thought about it, because the next message I got from her was a text message from Disneyland. And she said, I'm in Disneyland. Is there anything you want? And I'm thinking, oh, God, I don't know. I haven't even thought about Disneyland. It's the last thing on my mind. She said, I'm in the teacups. I'm going to spin around until I puke. Screw being 40. And of course I messaged her back with, oh, darling, I don't think there's anything I want. I'm glad you're in Disneyland celebrating your 40th birthday, and I'll see you when you get back. Have fun. But what I was left with was her capacity to say, you know what? This is my life. This is my life. I have not met anybody. I have not settled down, and I have not had children. In fact, I've got this career and I'm earning all this money, so how am I going to make the most of it? And how I make the most of it? I go to Disneyland, I play with other people's children as they're walking around. I talk to other people, I enjoy myself. I eat as much fairy floss as I want to, and I spin around in the teacups until I'm sick. And I enjoy every moment of it, because I know my friend Elizabeth can't do that because of all her commitments at home and her children and all the things that she's tied down with. That's where you need to be. So maybe, you need to take a little bit of time out and embrace where you're at and enjoy it. And you know, I know that I have heard stories of people having fabulous experiences of meeting somebody on a dating app, whether it's eHarmony, Tinder, wherever. I know that. But I've also heard the horror stories as well. So in my head, I guess I tend to tell people that it's nice to meet people the old-fashioned way and get to be friends first without this agenda of what you're doing. And sometimes you have to go slow to be fast. That makes sense. So you have to actually slow down, date someone as if you just don't know what's going to happen. And sometimes that relaxation can make things happen a little bit quicker. So that would be my advice to you today for Ask Elizabeth. If you have a question that you would like to ask me, please go to elizabethroebuckjones.com/ask and you can write to me anonymously. By the